Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and welcome to my Goodreads Awards reading vlog. I realized as I started editing this video that I never made an intro, so here we are, editing Victoria, here for the future, to tell you a little bit about this video. So as I mentioned, these are the Goodreads books that I chose from the nominations. I chose from the opening round. So not the top 10, but just every book that was nominated in the opening round. Chose one book from each category. Now, if you haven't seen it, you can check out my entire reaction video and selection of my Goodreads TBR here and down below. Go ahead and jump into the vlog. Hi! It is Thursday, November 14th. So, if you missed it, I posted, are you crooked? Here, let me, oh Lord, okay. Yeah, that's fine. We're fine with this. So, if you missed it, I will post somewhere and then down below. I decided to do a Goodreads challenge where I chose a book from every single category of the nominations to add to my TBR and to read by the winner's announcement December 5th. Yeah, it's on December 5th. So I have pretty much gathered, I think, all of the books, 90% at least of the books. I have like 5 holds to go pick up from the library. So we're doing well. We're not spending a lot of money on these books that we don't know if we're gonna like. So I feel like that is a good sign for all of us. Outside of that, I am currently at Murder by the Book because I wanted to just go and browse, see if there's anything new. Maybe I could get another Veronica Speedwell to like continue to build that collection so I have all of them, even though I'm not reading them currently. I have started reading 2 of the books for the Goodreads challenge. So I am currently listening to the audiobook of the, what is it? The Hyunam bookstore. The Victoria, editing Victoria will put, the problem is my story graph is on my phone and I'm currently talking to you on my phone. So we'll put the title here. So I'm listening to this on audiobook. I got like a deal from Audible where they're like, hey girl, like if you sign up for 3 months, you only pay 99 cents and they happen to have that book on there. So I was like, okay, cool, because I wasn't going to be able to grab it from the library. It wasn't available, so we went with that. And I'm enjoying it thus far. I would say, for some reason, I don't know why Audible does this, but you can't see your progress on the app. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I can't find my progress. But I'm probably like less than a third in, maybe like 15%. And I was a little surprised because the way this book was described, I thought it would be a more structure, like a typical plot, typical narrative structure, because they had mentioned like our main character, she ends up leaving her corporate job and opening a bookstore, but we kind of like skipped that. So it's a bit of a vignette kind of structure. So each chapter focuses on different characters who revolve around the bookshop, different moments, different things that our main character has learned along the way of opening this bookshop. So it's been interesting. Like, I feel like you could just listen to one chapter, kind of think about it, move on to the next one, but it's not like a straight A to B story, a typical narrative for a fiction story. So it definitely has that lit fic vibe. It definitely, you know, has some vibes of like Before the Coffee Gets Cold, where you're just getting bits and pieces of things, but we still are focused on the characters and talking a lot about books. It is definitely very bookish, and I'm enjoying it thus far. And the narrator is nice. I've realized that I cannot listen to 2.2 times speed on my audiobooks if I don't have headphones. I don't know why. I can do it in the car, but like if I'm walking around the house and just have it playing on my phone, my brain doesn't compute it. Very interesting. Can't explain it. The other book that I started reading because I already own it and haven't been to the library yet to get some of my holds is A Dark and Drowning Tide. I read the first chapter of it. It is a bit of a romantasy, dark academia kind of vibe. Our main character is actually the grumpy person, which I thought was kind of fun, instead of like the sunshine person in this grumpy sunshine kind of situation. And there seems to be like an academic thing that's going on. There's a king. It was only the first chapter, so we'll see. Again, this one I wasn't like super drawn to, so we'll see how I feel about it. I'm going to try to give it the benefit of the doubt, and also remember that one should not decide that they don't like it because they want to read another book. So we're going to give it its due. We're going to give it a chance, especially because I own this book. And it is beautiful. You would have seen that little clip, or maybe I'll put it here. Here's a clip. It is beautiful. At least we can respect that. But anyway, I'm going to go into Murder by the Book, and I will check in with you all when we have a little more reading progress on this vlog. Darkness, my old friend, I have burned my hand again, and I have some reading updates before my camera dies once again. Ooh, jeez, that's too much, right? That's too much. It's not even adjusting. All right, back to this. Back at it again. Okay, so hello. Just a couple updates. I am currently reading 3 books at the same time. Is that efficient? I don't know, but that is what we're doing. So as I mentioned, still listening to Welcome to the Hyunam Bookshop. I am about 30% of the way through that. I am reading A Dark and Drowning Tide. I actually just got to part 2. The person in question in the synopsis of the story has in fact died, so maybe things will get a little bit more interesting. I will keep you updated with that. And then I decided to pick up the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, which she has. I didn't realize this. If I listened to the Pumpkin Spice Cafe on audiobook, so there wasn't a playlist included, but apparently there's a playlist included in this one. So I went and found the playlist on Spotify, and I've been listening to that whilst reading it. I know a lot of people have not liked the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore as much as the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I don't know if I'm deep enough into it yet to know if I like it or not. I feel like the challenges of the lead main character maybe don't resonate with people as much as maybe what Jenny was going through in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I don't know. Honestly, like, they are giving me cozy romance, like, they are what they are kind of thing. So I'm not hating it right now. I'm having a good time, just like I was with the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. It is giving me exactly what I thought it would give me. Do I think it's gonna win Best Romance of the Year on Goodreads? No, I don't. But who knows? Maybe I am totally off base here because I am not a romance girly. But compared to at least The Paradise Problem and Funny Story, I can't see the Cinnamon Bun Cafe, or the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore competing against this one. But that's just me. I also went to the library today and picked up more books on our list here. So we have our YA fiction. Oh gosh, okay. Our YA fiction, which we'll try to balance in the light here. Maybe if I hold it over here. YA fiction, Where Sleeping Girls Lie. So this is the one about a girl who goes to like a prestigious school. Stuff happens, people die, trying to figure out what's going on. We also grabbed our horror selection, which is Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. So excited to pick this one up. I had no idea when I selected The Foxwife that, I don't know why it didn't like connect with me, this is the same author who wrote The Ghost Bride, which is one of my favorite dramas on Netflix. I thought The Ghost Bride was so much fun, and then I read the book. Very different than the show, but like there were some things I liked in the show better than things I liked in the book, and vice versa. So I'm very interested to read The Foxwife, so we grabbed this one. And then for our debut novel, we have Greta and Valdin. So this one about a brother and sister, you just kind of, you know, going through life, I guess, finding love and such. I have 2 more books at the library, and then I had to buy a couple because I could not get them through the library. But I feel like overall, we did pretty well with not purchasing any. So we have, let's see, so I got the Hyunam bookshop on Audible. They were having a deal, so I got it for 99 cents. I still need to get The Lion Women of Tehran. I may order it through my local bookstore where I have some credits because I turned some books in over there. We'll see. I have We Saw Murders by Richard Osman on Libro FM. The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore I have in my Kindle. I got it for $2.99. It's $2.99 right now on your Kindle if you want it. Dark and Drowning 10, already had from Lumen Crate. And then I am waiting. Oh, so I think I purchased, I'm starting to worry about this Black Box of Doom just for the summer. And I also purchased For She Is Wrath by Emily Varga. And there was like a deal where I got a discount by buying all 3 on Amazon. They were like part of this deal. So I got all 3 of those. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I purchased just for the summer For She Is Wrath and the bookshop together. And then I still have to, I'm still trying to find, I'm starting to worry about this Black Box of Doom and The Lion Women of Tehran. I've put holds on them, but I don't know if I will get them. So as we get closer to the end, these might be our last 2 books just because I'm having a hard time acquiring them. And I'm trying to avoid buying books unless I really want them. I really wanted The Bookshop by Evan Friss. I just thought that was like a cool book to have since it's about the history of American bookstores. And then For She Is Wrath was nowhere to be found when it came to online. So since it was part of this like deal on Amazon, I figured I would just get it. And then just for the summer. I do have the audiobook on hold at the library. So depending on how we're moving through books, maybe I'll have the audiobook and the physical book at the same time, and I can do a quick read there and kind of pick up and go back and forth, but still unclear there. So that is our updates. I have not finished a single book yet, but I am working my way through 3 at the same time. So hopefully next time we connect, I will have some books finished for you to chat about. Hopefully. I just got back from Life is Better, the Kid Fury's tour that he did. He just stopped in Houston. He'll be in Dallas tomorrow. It was so awesome to go to a show. I really loved it. It was very heartfelt and very funny, and I'm happy that I got to see it. And I'm happy that I just decided to go on my own because I'm glad I didn't miss it. But that's it. So I will check in with you later. Bye. Hello, 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 hello. It is Saturday, November 16th. I've officially finished our first book in this challenge. I finished Welcome to the Hyunam Bookshop by Hwang Bo-rum. Bo-rum. And I gave 4 stars. I enjoyed the book, and it's very, if you're looking for a cozy fiction, I guess, a book that's more character-based but very bookish and takes place as just kind of characters forming like a found family, this is definitely a book for you. There's no like high stakes, nothing to get you super stressed about. A lot of talk about the Korean work ethic and work-life balance in this story, and just how these characters are grappling with it in the space of this bookshop. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know why I'm necessarily giving it a 4 over a 5. I think it just has to do with it was really enjoyable, but I don't know if I was like, this is a 5-star, you know? And I think a lot of that is I do like a plot. I do like magical elements. I do like something kind of driving the story forward. And although I like movies that tend to be like this, I think sometimes reading it, perhaps if I was reading it more in a short story format, like taking the different chapters and just reading it more slowly, maybe I would have enjoyed it more. Because I almost feel like that's the kind of way to read this book, is like you pick it up as you go, read these different chapters and get to know these characters. But overall, a really, really enjoyable book. I think it is definitely one that I might consider rereading in a different time frame where I'm not just trying to also get through it. But I'm happy to have a book down because we have many, many more to go. I have 2 books currently in progress, so I'll probably pick up a 3rd one. I actually got Just for Fun and Where Sleeping Girls Lie on Libby and Knife. So I have 3 other audiobooks available that can help me kind of make it through there. And then I also have the physical copies of those books as well. So we can really like start making headway on those 3 and kind of working our way through them. But yeah, you know, I would like to, let's see, how many more days do we have? We need to plan this out a little bit. I think we got to be a little strategic here. Let's see. Okay. Excuse me. We have 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 more days left. Okay. Okay. 19 more days, 14 more books. So a little bit under a book a day. But I think maybe if we break it up by weeks, so we have 1 book done this week, and I think if we aim to do like 7 and 7 on the next 2 weeks, like that's our goal. So starting the 17th to the 23rd, trying to get 7 books done, and then the 24th to the 30th, trying to get 7 books done, then that would have us completed that before the end of our time frame, before they announce the winners on December 5th. And then what I think that does with that goal, if we fall a little behind, which we are probably going to fall a little behind, we'll have those extra 5 days to make up with any lost time that we have with books. So I think that is a good plan. I'm pretty sure I can finish the cinnamon bun bookstore today or tomorrow. I'm a little bit further into it now, and again, it is what it is. I think as this is going, it'll probably be another 3 stars. Hello, 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 dear people. It is Monday. Oh, are we? There we go. It is Monday, November 18th. We had a sick day today. I was not feeling well this morning, but fortunately I'm feeling a lot better, which is good. As you saw, I started a little project, more hand painting on books. And so this is my copy of Persuasion, and I Mod Podged this silhouette that I got off of Canva. And okay, so technically, these are Victorian silhouettes. Canva did not have Regency ones that look like this, but I think it's okay. So you can't see, what you cannot see on here is I do have a very rough outline of a cliffside with ocean and a beach along here that once this completely dries, I am going to paint on this front half. On the back half, I thought perhaps I would do the letter, or at least part of the letter that, I guess spoilers if you've not read the book, but it's been a while, y'all. But the letter that the captain is writing to Anne, it's like the pivotal moment for them at the end of the book. So I thought maybe I would do that on the back. I don't know. So that is where we're at on that, but it's still very wet, which I figured was better than not because it really wasn't sticking at first. And so essentially I'm going to paint around them and then probably paint over the silhouette as well. The reason I thought this would work well too is this is a Barnes & Noble edition from a long time ago that I thrifted. And so it has the embossing of Barnes & Noble on it. So by putting this paper over it, we're also covering the embossing that's on there. Now, as you can see, we have the Barnes & Noble's end papers in here, but I could paint those or Mod Podge. Oh, I could put the letter copies on these sides. That would be cool too, and then maybe just extend maybe a ship on the back. I don't know. So that is what we started on today because I was in a crafting mood. I did I fixed my Nana's rosary that was broken as well. Reading updates. So finished our memoir choice, and that was Knife Meditations After an Attempted Murder by Salman Rushdie. And I listened to this entirely by audiobook while I was doing some laundry yesterday, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is read by the author, so that's always good. So recommend that. I got the audiobook on Libby. I finished that last night. I enjoyed it a lot. I've never read any of his books, so he is a very prolific fiction author who, if you don't know, he was stabbed back in 2022 when he was giving a lecture, and some of it was associated with a book that he wrote a long time ago that essentially put him on a hit list for some extremist. And he had been under like a protective order in the UK for a long time, but he had been over in the United States for like 20 years. And really things had kind of gone to normal. So this was like out of left field. He was 75 years old, stabbed by like a 24-year-old. And it is a recollection of his thoughts, the events, just different aspects of it, people in his life, how they came forward for him, and just things that have changed or the way his perception has been altered since the attack. So it was a very interesting book. I may pick up one of his fictions now because I am curious about it. But I don't write memoirs. I picked that up from Allie from Alice and Pages. She doesn't rate memoirs, and I think that is solid. Like, it's hard to rate someone's experience, you know? So, not gonna rate that one. Currently, we have picked up Where Sleeping Girls Lie because I do have the audiobook for that and the physical book from the library. So I started reading that last night. It is a young adult thriller-ish, mystery-ish situation in a boarding school. Our main character's name is Sadeh Hussein, and she comes to this boarding school, I think the abbreviations are like ANA, a month after her father has passed away from a heart attack. Apparently she was supposed to be going to the school. She's been homeschooled all her life, and so she's very excited about it. But clearly things are off that we don't know about. It is giving me a little bit of dark academia vibes, minus the fantasy element, at least for now. So I am curious to see how it's going. I'm liking the writing style thus far. It's not very young adult-y, so that is nice. I am looking forward to seeing where the book goes. We're still reading A Dark and Drowning Tide, slowly moving through that. We're well into part 2 at this point. Surprised that this is considered a romantasy thus far. Like, I do see that there is a romance element, but maybe the romantasy comes later, because I would classify this as like a dark academia fantasy right now. I wouldn't really think of this as a romantasy, but we'll see as the book proceeds. So I do think it's interesting that it's in this particular category. I have questions for Goodreads. And we are still about 55% of the way through the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. I probably can finish that soon. But I don't anticipate finishing A Dark and Drowning Tide anytime soon, because basically I wanted to prioritize the books that I have that are library books, so I can return them when the time is necessary. What else? So I started Gavin's Once Upon a Time Watch Along, or possibly what we'll be calling Once Upon a Watch Along. I don't know, the group is undecided yet. But, funny story, we are going to be doing a new book club as a group. This will be a private one, but we're going to be reading the Disney Twisted Tales as we're going through the show, and like letting the show pick which book we pick up next. So we're going to start with Mirror Mirror, because Snow White's story is one of the first stories that's really told in Once Upon a Time, or like introduced to us in Once Upon a Time. So that's what we're going to start with. Hello! I thought I'd check in because, one, do you like my outfits? Do we like our makeup? I know I don't get dressed up for y'all often, so I thought I would come on here and give a quick update. I just got back from an event. Ooh. I just got back from a Junior League event, so I thought I would check in because we are making some progress on Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I'm about 80% into the book. And I will have to say, if you are someone like myself who has found that young adult books have been more difficult to get into as of late, I highly recommend checking out this author. I think, oh, no, don't jump up there. Hold on one second. So yeah, if you're not really feeling the young adult vibes very often, and it's difficult to find young adult novels that you enjoy, I think you will like this author. I do think she has a very mature voice for a young adult audience, and I think that just like the style of writing is a lot more palatable to me as an adult, I feel, than some young adult novels. I don't really have a good explanation for this, and I'm not out here to say that if you enjoy most young adult novels that there's just something about the style, like the word choices and the style of writing in young adult novels, that does not resonate with me anymore. And I don't think there's anything wrong if they do still resonate with you, I just think the voice of the characters often just don't, I don't know, they just don't work for me anymore. So it's very hit or miss for me when it comes to young adult. Especially because I feel like young adult, like these kids are still dealing with very heavy topics, but often just the way that the writing embodies that process, I have a hard time connecting with it. But I do feel like the author for Where Sleeping Girls Lie does a really good job of, she's very poetic, and her prose, I feel like, are a bit more complex than some other young adult novels I've read in my recent readings in the last year or so. I've just found the writing to be a lot more intriguing. I also think, like, subject matter wise and like storyline wise, that this is a little more akin to kind of more akin to like Truly Devious and A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I feel like tonally similar in that, but darker, more serious than that. Maybe like take Euphoria and Truly Devious, and I feel like that is kind of the vibe that we're getting with Where Sleeping Girls Lie, if that helps you out at all. But I'm having a good time. Like I said, I'm 80% of the way through. I was doing a lot of physical reading, but I was driving back today, and I was like, I really need to get working on these books because I have kind of slowed my pace a little bit. I need to get 2 more books solidly this week. I feel like 3 more books. We need quite a few more books. We need to get this show on the road, if you will. So I am enjoying it a lot, just haven't had a lot of chance to read. So I was like, okay, we have the audiobook, let's listen to the audiobook, let's work our way through it. So we got a good chunk, got about 20% read with audiobook today. I read quite a bit physically. I've enjoyed both experiences. I think I enjoyed the physical reading experience more than I did the audiobook, but now that I think that I'm kind of settled into the characters, the audiobook isn't as jarring as I felt like it was earlier. But I'm having a good time, needless to say. I don't know, so I've put all of my books that I don't have as library holds kind of on pause, including like Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and also Dark and Drowning Tide. So I've put those 2 on hold since I do physically own those, opposed to our library books. So I do have 3 more library books to go and pick up from the library, which I'll probably do tomorrow when I get back, because I have work in the morning and then I have a junior league shift in the afternoon. I have a little bit of time in between, and where I'm going for junior league is near the library, so I think I'll go ahead and pick those books up before that and do that myself. Yeah, that is it. So I think Where Sleeping Girls Lie is finished. I think I'm gonna read The Foxwife next, or maybe Bury Your Gaze. I don't know. I'm feeling like The Foxwife, because we've kind of gotten away from fantasy, and A Dark and Drowning Tide is not hitting fantasy, it's more hitting dark academia. So I need my fantasy fix. Also, I did get some new books, which I will have to update you on that. And in addition, if you didn't notice, I have created a new Instagram account. I have created an Instagram account specifically targeted towards books and this channel. So that is Queen V's Royal Reads. It's down below in the description. Feel free to follow me there. I'll be giving more updates there and trying to be better about that. I'm not great about posting on Instagram. It's not something I do frequently. I think because like typically if I'm posting on Instagram, it's more like random life updates. So I think now that I've created one that's separate for BookTube, I'll be like more inclined to post more things, because I just, not everybody who I'm friends with in my personal life or like my family is super interested in all that. And So I thought it'd be good to make a separate one so I could just enjoy in bookish stuff. And I'm also like specifically only following people on that account that are related in some way to like bookish things, so I can just like really curate that feed there too and keep up on some things that are coming out. So I think that's really helpful. In addition to that, I'm super excited because my advent calendar from Caffeine and Legends should be here soon. It was shipped, so I'm very, very excited. So excited to explore that. I think that because this year has been such hot garbage overall, when it comes, I'm not going to wait to open them for Advent. I'm not gonna do it. I wanna open it all. So we'll just do a vlog of unboxing all the things in the Advent calendar all at once because that's what I wanna do. I don't wanna wait. So I'm not going to. Because I'm a big adult and I make the rules. It's part of being an adult, kids. There's not that many perks. Making your own rules is one of the few. But anyway, that is my update. Like I said, I wanted to do an update when I felt pretty. Because I felt pretty. My hair is all done. My makeup's all done. Also, I never wore these during Halloween. But do they not go so well with this dress? Like, so well. Like, they match perfectly. That I was like, I know it's holiday market. Like, I know it's a Christmas themed party, but they just go perfectly. So we just went with that instead. Well, that's fine. It's a-okay. A-okay. All right, folks. I am done chatting. So I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a very fun Christmassy unboxing video. Try again. Hello friends, it has been a while since we checked in on our Goodreads vlog. So I wanted to give you a quick update here before I do my unboxing video. I'm so excited. I am going to unbox this entire advent calendar because I couldn't be bothered to wait until Christmas this year. I don't want to. I don't want to open one. I don't want to prolong the event. I don't care. I want to open it. So we're going to do that. But we have a lot of things to catch up on. I think I talked to you about where sleeping girls lie. So we won't talk anymore about that. We have started The Foxwife, and I am like 140 pages into the book, and I'm absolutely loving it. Wholeheartedly loving it. It is really like the right amount of historical fiction blended with mysticism and folklore and just different cultures. What I love about this author, so I think I mentioned before that this author actually wrote a book that I thoroughly enjoyed, which is The Ghost Bride, also a Netflix K-drama. Well, it wasn't technically a K-drama, just a Netflix drama, which takes place in Mongolia. No, I'm sorry, not Mongolia. It takes place in Malaysia, so I don't know, it's kind of a blend. But what I really like what this author does is add those complexities to a lot of the history of East Asia in particular, both like Northeast Asia, what we would know as like the China, Japan, Korea, Mongolia kind of space, but then also like Southeast Asia, looking at even places like Malaysia, Indonesia, you know, South China, Taiwan, just a bunch of different places, Vietnam, like trying to do her best to really encompass like how diverse this area actually is, because I think oftentimes we treat it like a monolith and it's definitely not. And even like the history of it, I feel like is lost a lot when we're coming from like the Western lens of what was going on during all these times, besides like the colonial aspects of it, which definitely played a huge part in how different things happened. But like there was also a lot of other things going on, and also there's a lot more ethnic diversity in places like China than we think there are, and then like and historically have been. So I think it's very interesting how she really encompasses all of that and talks a lot about that. Like in this book in particular, we have at least one character who is from Mongolia, like their family, like her mother's family is from Mongolia, and I've not seen that in a book before, I think, ever. So I'm really enjoying that. I liked that part with Ghost Bride as well, because Malaysia is such a diverse country. Like so many people go to Malaysia still today, and just how that blending of cultures has turned into kind of its own thing is really interesting. So I'm having a great time with The Foxwife. I wasn't able to find an audiobook for it, so I'm only reading it by eyeballs. So it's taking me a little bit longer, but I am loving the writing. I like the two voices that we're getting. So we have Snow, who is the Foxwife, and then we have Bao, who is a detective of sorts, who has been like tangentially related to like Fox lore since he was a kid, and is now like uncovering this mystery that's really like, we know as a reader that it's tied with Snow, but he doesn't know that yet, and they don't know that their lives are entangled. So I'm curious to see how much further this will continue to go as the story progresses. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. But I did pick up an audiobook because I was doing puzzles. I'm working on a puzzle, and I am just was doing chores and things, and I wanted to listen to an audiobook. And since I didn't have The Foxwife, I decided to start Just for Fun. Oh, I keep saying Just for Fun, which makes me think of the Beyonce song, but it's not. It's Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and I really am enjoying this book. I have to say, Emily Henry and Abby Jimenez have thoroughly surprised me, because I started off like going with, I feel like, the popular romance writers right now, with Allie Hazelwood, and I really don't vibe with Allie Hazelwood's writing, is what I've discovered. I don't like it. It's not for me. We're not compatible as writer and reader, author and reader. We're just not compatible. But I really liked Emily Henry's Funny Story, which I listened to on an audiobook, and I'm really enjoying Just for Fun as well, which was my choice for best audiobook category. And I'm really having a good time. It's very heartfelt. These people have some like serious trauma that they're working through, and it's a great story. The characters are really fun. I am hoping we're about to get to the part in the story where things were going well, but now they're not going to go well for a little while. So I'm a little sad to take part in that. But it's so interesting with stories. I don't know if anybody else gets like this, when you like a story that sometimes you just want to get to the end, but at the same time you're like, but then if I get to the end, there's no more story. It's a conundrum. It is a conundrum. But so we're probably over 60% of the way through that now. I listened to the audiobook there and back from work today, and I'm going to do it tomorrow. So I am anticipating that I will be finished with that audiobook before we travel up for Thanksgiving, because we are going to be traveling to Dallas, back to Dallas for Thanksgiving. I'm trying to look at my Libby, and I'm just failing at the moment here. Yeah, I'm at 62%. So I'm on chapter 29, and it says there's about 4.5 hours left, which I listened to on 2.2 speed. So, you know, probably about 2 hours left. So I should be able to finish this by tomorrow. And then I think I am going to start the Richard Harmon book, because I have that audiobook as well. So I think we'll go ahead and listen to that one. Hopefully, next time I talk to you, I'll at least be halfway through the 15 books. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Hello, friends. It is the next day? No, 2 days later, because I filmed on Monday last. So it is Wednesday, November 27th. We have finished 2 more books, so that put us at 5 books. So we have 10 books left for the Goodreads Awards challenge that I've set up for myself. We have finished Just for Fun by Abby Jimenez, which I did listen to on audiobook since it was nominated for Best Audiobook, and that is the category which I chose it with, even though it was also in the romance category. And I really liked this book. I was like, ooh, actually, I may need to change my vote for the romance category, because I did nominate The Paradise Problem for the romance category in the opening round, but after listening to Just for Fun, I don't know. It was, I will say, and I saw this comment a lot in the reviews, that the trigger warnings are for sure something you want to check on this book. Our main female protagonist has some very deep-seated trauma, has a lot of things to unpack in this book. It is quite sad in so many different ways. There are some like real big problems that our main characters are facing as they're falling in love. And so it's definitely, I don't think it's lighthearted. It's definitely not lighthearted. And I think that was the same with The Paradise Problem. Probably why I like them both so much is the problems that our characters were facing were pretty rough. Like, there was a lot going on, even though the characters themselves had great chemistry and their relationship was really fun. Their problems were big problems. Their problems were something that they both had to come to terms with, and I liked that the characters worked on coming to terms with their problems and working through them in healthy ways and coming back and then being able to have a healthy relationship. I like that a lot. I think that's what really sold it for me. I'm not gonna like go too deep into the story again, because I said there are a lot of trigger warnings and I think it's important to check them out. It sounds like Abby Jimenez did a lot of work for this book, and I really appreciated that. I did not realize that this was the 3rd book in, I guess, this like series. So there's Part of Your World, which I've heard a lot about and a lot of people loved. Then I forget what the other one was. Yours Truly, I think, was the 2nd one. And so Just for the Summer is the 3rd one within this like little romance universe. So there, I guess, were some cameos that I didn't quite get until I looked them up, and I was like, oh, okay, I understand now. Because I do know the premise of Part of Your World. I do know the premise of that one because a lot of people really loved that book by Abby Jimenez. And I don't know, I might pick it up because I did thoroughly enjoy Just for the Summer, but I don't know if I thoroughly enjoyed it because of the writer, or just like, I don't know if that means I would thoroughly enjoy all her other books. I don't know, but I might, because I know a lot of people who I like on BookTube really liked that book. So possibly, maybe I'll add it to my TBR for next year. Definitely next year, not right now. On top of that, I also finished The Foxwife, as I mentioned, by Youngse Cho. And I freaking loved this book so much. I was desperate to finish it today. Desperate. I read over, I would think 100 and some odd pages last night before bed. And then the moment I woke up, I didn't even leave bed. I just picked the book back up and I was determined to finish my last 100 pages before we left to come back to Dallas for Thanksgiving. And yeah, I just really loved this book. And when I realized that it was the author of The Ghost Bride, I was a little nervous because I think I had mentioned that I really enjoyed The Ghost Bride, the Netflix drama. And I liked the book, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, since I loved Ghost Bride so much. And I thought it was so fun. I will say,
she does a great job of taking Chinese folklore, not just Chinese folklore, but like folklore across like the Eastern Asian cultures, Southeast Asian cultures, things that like are tied in with one another, and kind of like creating a full story with it, and just really pulling in so much rich history and rich mythology from a lot of these different cultures. I loved the journey that our characters took. I was more attached to Snow's story than I was attached to Bal's story, and I could see why maybe that would put somebody off the book. But I did like how the stories kind of wove in together. I love the resolution of the book, and I found each character so compelling, how everything laid out, the journey that Snow and Bao both took in kind of reconnecting with themselves and their past, and trying to deal with things that had happened to them in their life, and just how all of this was interconnected. And I don't know, I think the Foxwife could be a close race between the Foxwife and the Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi right now. I was really shocked that I flowed into this book so well, but it was just so compelling. I loved Snow as a character. She was so interesting. She was spunky without being like, what is the way to describe this? You know, like when a character is spunky, but you're like, okay, but like you're overdoing it. Like, we love a spunky character, but we want them to feel realistic. And I think Snow had like that perfect balance of being a little spunky, you know, being a little mischievous, but at the same time, like having a good center and really having compassion for others in the end. I love a story with older people. I enjoyed Tagta's character a lot. That might be a mild spoiler. Out of context, I feel like it's fine though. I don't know. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I liked it way more than Ghost Bride. So, and I think I do enjoy, like the author mentions, like stories about foxes, stories about, I enjoy, oh, what is the word for them? I just lost the different names that we have for like fox demons, fox spirits, fox gods, fox stuff. The lore is so fun. So I just had a really good time. Please read it. I think it was great, and I think you'll learn a lot about the plethora of ethnicities that have always existed in East Asia if you weren't aware, and the differences between them. I always really enjoy reading historical fiction in a part of the world that I didn't learn about as much in school, because I feel like you can learn so much from a historical fiction in a fun way. Learn about the history that surround it, and the like regional conflicts and regional upheavals and different things like that. And so I love when we put those backdrops in there. That's why I'm excited. I have brought 4 books with me because we are trying to catch up here. So I was able to pick up, finally, I was able to find a copy of The Lion Women of Tehran from the library. So I am very excited about this because it spans like a couple decades. And so I'm very curious to see how we weave in some of that history here. I currently am going to try to read Bury Your Gaze. I'm not sure if this is what I'm in the mood for. I think I'm more in the mood for Greta and Valdin, which also, I don't know, when I read this, like, I did not also realize that the author here was Maori, which I think is super cool. So I'm excited to see like how that plays into the book, because I do see that the brother and sister here are Maori characters. I'm looking forward to this one. I just really love this cover too. Like, pink and green is such a good color combo, and I just love the simplicity of it. So I'm hoping I really enjoy this. I'm feeling pulled toward this. And then the final one we have here is our nonfiction, Meditations for Mortals, 4 Weeks to Embrace Your Limitations and Make Time for What Counts. Could be great for a Thanksgiving read. It's fairly short. It's only like 160 pages. So those are the 4 books I brought with me. And then we still have, that would put us at 9, which means we still have 6 more books. I did start listening to Richard Osman's We Solve Murders. It's taken me a little bit to get into it, to be honest. Like, it's a little confusing how these characters all lay out and just like the backstory we have to put on it. It's like we're kind of being dropped into a story that's already existed for a while. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I am listening to that one. I did start listening to that one, and then we're still 50% of the way through the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, but again, I put that one on hold because I was trying to get through these library books so I could return them, give them back to the people. So if somehow I get through all 4 of these, then I think I will jump back into the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore to finish that up, because like I said, I'm 50% of the way through, and I do have my iPad so I can read it on there. And then I still have my 2 book club books that I need to be reading, so we're just live, laugh, loving, y'all. But if we can get through those, what is that, 6 books, that would put us at 11. And then we would just have, what would we have left? Oh, God. Okay, and then we would still have the Black Box of Doom, For She Is Wrath, the Bookshop, and then the last one would be A Dark and Darting Tide. So we would still have those 4 before Friday of next week. Oh no, I'm sorry, before Thursday of next week. Good God. Oh, hi. Hello. Got my Pride and Prejudice sweater on. It makes me so happy. I have finished Chuck Tingle's Bear Your Gaze, and I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. I have 4 stars. And I can't give you the exact reason why. I think that it's because the beginning for me was a little hard to get into, and I was like, I don't know, is this for me? Where is this going? What are we doing? Kind of thing. And I don't know what's going on. Dryness, something in the air is making me cough. But I know you're not supposed to clear your throat, but here we are. Yeah, I can't pinpoint why this isn't like a 5-star for me, because I did thoroughly enjoy this book, and once I really got into this story and was invested, especially with Micah, who's our main character, and kind of the stories that influence the stories that he wrote in the book. Like, I guess backstory of this is, so our main character Micah, he is a somewhat famous screenwriter. He's written a bunch of horror movies, and he currently has a TV show going on. He currently has a TV show going on, and when we meet him, he's basically told that he needs to kill off his 2 main characters, who are queer, and essentially he's been building up to this point where they're going to finally get together. And he doesn't want to do that. And so he pretty much is telling the studio to F off, and strange things start happening to him, where basically like the monsters that he wrote in his horror films and TV shows are literally haunting him. And it starts to unfold from there, but a lot of this conversation is about, you know, queer representation in Hollywood, and then like also the use of that, and then a lot about like the different portrayals of queer characters, of you know, wanting to be able to see yourself in film and in TV, and just being able to have like a varying representation of yourself, because you're a whole human and your sexuality isn't all that defines you. And so a lot of that conversation is going on here in this book. What I really enjoyed about this was Micah's journey and learning about like how he worked through a lot of the trauma that he had as a kid through writing this, like through writing his movies, and trying to grapple with the fears and traumas he's developed growing up in a place not like LA, and also still being like somewhat closeted. So he's like not officially out like in the media, because he's from Montana, and so he's out among his friends, and he has this lovely boyfriend named Zeke, and he's out in general social circles but never makes like any proclamations about it, and just him also dealing with that idea as well. So a lot of great conversations in this book. The gore was interesting. The actual like plot line went a little more interesting than what I thought was actually happening in the book, because I had my thoughts about what was going on, and then they kind of took it like 3 steps further than I thought we were going to get to. I don't want to ruin anything, but I was like, ooh, I feel like we're mind-bending genres a little bit, which, you know, is kind of what he was doing in his book anyways. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think like horror just isn't like my genre necessarily, so I don't know if that's why it just wasn't a 5-star for me, but I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I'm glad I picked it up because it's been on my TBR since I heard him talking about it on Love It or Leave It like 6, 7, 8 months ago or something like that. So excited that I finally finished this. Now I'm deciding between going ahead and Eating the Frog and diving into more of a historical fiction. I think this is just nonfiction, but kind of like historical fiction. Going for more of this like literary fic. Well, that's a lit fic too, it's a debut, but like this one seems like it's gonna be a little less digestible than Greta and Valdin. So I don't know, I'm debating. I haven't decided yet. We will, when I check in, we will know what I've decided. But we're now down to, we now have 6 books down. If I can keep on this pace and read another book today, we'll be up to 7, and we'll be catching up to where we won't be so stressed when we get home. Isn't that joyful? Fine, I'm grateful for that today. Also, it's Thanksgiving, so for those of you celebrating, happy Thanksgiving. Check in with you later. Give you some updates. Peace. Hello, we're back. We're back. And my chink is like red for whatever reason. Don't mind the construction sounds. They're ever present during the day. But we're back. I just wanted to give you a quick update since our last little chat. It is Monday, December 2nd, which means we are rapidly approaching December 5th when we're supposed to be done with all these books, and we still have 7 left to finish. But I was able to snag 2 more books on audiobook, so that should be helpful, and hopefully we'll be able to crank this baby out to meet our goal December 5th that we set for ourselves. So yeah. But, okay, so first I would say major flop for me in this reading journey. It's Greta and Valdin. And just to, I think we talked a little bit about this, but essentially I picked this for the debut category, although it was also in the fiction. And what was interesting is this originally came out in 2021, but Rebecca K. Riley is from New Zealand, so I guess that came out in New Zealand at that time, but it got picked up for publishing here in the US this year, seems to be. And essentially this is kind of like a Wes Anderson movie in a book, is how I've seen a lot of people describe it, and I would agree with that. And I think that is where the problem is. A couple problems I have with this book. So yes, it is very much, we've got a bunch of quirky characters. They're all a family. It's very incestuous, to be honest, once you get real knee deep into the somewhat plot and secrets that this family has. But we are following the family of Greta and Valdin. They are half Maori, and they live in New Zealand. Their father is from Russia, and their mother is Maori. And Maori. And they are very much like an intellectual family with varying interests, and also a lot of quirks as well, which make them very interesting narrators. Valdin specifically talks a lot about having OCD, and we seem to hint at the fact that his father has OCD as well. I would say like the type of OCD that Valdin has isn't quite the OCD that I have, but I can, like, he's pretty open and chats about it. It's not like, I would say like it informs his character, but it's not like the main plot line around his. And then Greta, they seem to like hint at the fact that perhaps she also has something akin to OCD, but they don't know, and they're both kind of quirky, and they are struggling with their love lives and just their lives in general. And the two of them live together. Greta's the youngest of sibling of this family, and then Valdin is the middle child. He's like 29, she's like 25. She's a master's candidate, and he did get his doctorate, but then has seemingly moved on prior to us meeting them in the story. And then we meet their extended family, including their older brother Casper, their mom, their dad, their uncles, their some of their cousins, their former lovers, friends, different things like that. So we meet all these characters, and primarily we get the perspectives of Greta and Valdin and kind of go back and forth. And I did see a review that said like they found it that the tone and the voices weren't that different, and I would agree with them. I do think like there wasn't much of a difference, I thought, in narration style. If they hadn't put like the name of the characters who were speaking, I don't know if I would have noticed a difference between narrators. I think if this is turned into a movie or a TV show, I would enjoy it a lot more, is how I would sum this up. I gave it 3 stars. Like, there were some things I liked about it. Like I said, the family drama or like family secrets, and it was a lot at the end. We just kind of like plopped some of that in there. But I mean, like I said, like I think if this were a movie or a TV show, I probably would have really enjoyed it. But I think like as a reading experience, it was not necessarily for me. I can see what the author was doing, and I like can totally see the fun that this family would be. And I think if I knew Greta and Valdin in real life, we would be friends. But I think just like as a reading experience, I didn't quite enjoy it. I don't know. But I would probably pick up another one of her books, because I do think it's a different perspective, and I enjoyed like seeing a new perspective. I've never read an author from New Zealand before, and especially someone who is also of Maori descent, and kind of their thoughts kind of riddled in with like those prejudices that are there in New Zealand society, and just learning a little more about it. So I did find that interesting. So I probably would pick up something else from this author, but like I said, if this gets turned into a movie or a TV show, maybe a short series, I'd watch it, because I think I'd enjoy that a lot more than I enjoyed it in a book. That's all I got to say about it. And I do love this cover. In addition to that, we have finished We Solve Murders through audiobook. I listened to most of it today. I would say kind of similar critique to Greta and Valdin is that the writing, the choice of having so many narrators and so many perspectives was different for me, was a lot for me to follow. I'm used to like a couple, but like this was just like the MCU expanded universe of perspectives in this book. And I thought I was gonna actually give this a 2-star, because I was just like, okay, especially with audiobook, I was like, maybe Richard Richard Osman and I need to be only book reading and no audiobooks, if that is kind of the vibe of his books. But the end sold me on a 3, because I do love our main 3 characters, Rosie, Amy, and Steve. And I like the relationship that they all build throughout the story. And I think like if we had just gotten their perspectives the entire book, I probably would have had a really good time, but we didn't. And so sometimes, especially as an audiobook experience, I was like, here, and then we're here, and then I'm like, whose voice is this? And you know, I'm like, we're kind of like telling the story and not requiring us to really solve the murder. I don't know. There was a lot going on, and it was a little much for me. So if I do pick up another one in the series, which I might, because like I said, I did enjoy the actual main characters of this book, I would probably read it with my eyes and not listen to it, because I think listening to it was far, far too confusing. But I've never read any of his other books, that I think I mentioned in the video where I actually picked this book, but this book is essentially about Amy and her father-in-law, Steve. Amy is like a hired bodyguard. She works for this company for like exclusive celebrities and stuff like that. She's guarding this famous author, Rosie, and basically she gets like wrapped up in a bit of a murder mystery and needs to enlist her father-in-law, Steve, who is a former police detective, and kind of solves like petty crimes and like little things around his very quiet neighborhood in England. And she basically brings him into this to try and figure out what's going on and prevent herself from being killed, and also kind of protect Rosie at the same time, who is a eccentric murder mystery author who is delightful, and I really enjoy her in this book entirely. And they kind of are trying to unravel this mystery, going all over the world and kind of working together as an interesting motley crew. And it sounds really cute, and it can be cute, but I would just wish we would have focused a little bit. We would have come back a little bit on the other POVs that we didn't necessarily need all the time, because there was a lot of characters to keep up with. But again, like I said, surprised me at the end, because like as the ending kind of wrapped up, I was like, I really do like them together, and I would be tempted to read a book with them again. So that is where I leave you with that. Like I mentioned, I do have far, far more reading to do. I'm actually reading The Games Gods Play, because I decided to DNF Dark and Dreading Tide, because that just wasn't doing it for me, and we don't have time to play around with books we don't want to read right now, because we are in a time crunch. So I am about 50% of the way through that. So we can chat a little bit more about that at the end, I think, because there's a lot to chat about. I have a lot of thoughts. lots of romantic-y thoughts. We continue to have lots of romantic-y thoughts. Yes. So we'll talk about that. And then I've also started reading The Lion Women of Tehran, and I am thoroughly enjoying that book. But I was needing something a little bit more fast-paced, and I will say the Games Gods Play is a very fast read, even though it's chunky. It's about 500 some odd pages. But The Lion Women of Tehran is also a pretty fast read. Like, it reads really easy. It's a very easy read. And I'm thoroughly enjoying the narration thus far, enjoying the book thus far. So I'm excited to tell you more about that because I'm feeling like that's going to be another solid 4 or 5 stars the way that it's going. But I have to eat a little bit and then I'm going to go do some volunteering. So I will get back with you probably tomorrow with more reading updates and maybe like 2 more books down. Gotta stop doing weird things with my hands. Hello. Just finished doing some holiday decorating. Wanted to give quick updates on our reading journey here. So I think I told you, I finished the audiobook. Yes, we talked about that already. So I started the audiobook for the bookshop, A History of the American Bookseller. I read it on my drive back and then I was listening to it as I was decorating for the holiday season, and I am thoroughly enjoying this. It is just like different chapters focusing on specific bookstores and specific people who were influential to the history of American bookstores, and it has been very interesting. I am thoroughly enjoying it. I'm glad I do have a physical copy because there are definitely things that I found very interesting and I probably want to dive a little deeper into it. But I am on chapter 11, so I am pretty close to the end. I only have a couple more chapters here, so I'm on chapter 11, The Sidewalk, and there are 2 more chapters after that with like little vignette chapters. So that's cool. Also saw that Book People was chatted about a little bit in this book, which is a very famous bookstore in Austin that I've been to. And so I thought it was really cool that he chatted with them. And I've been to that bookstore before. So having a good time. I am still reading the Games Gods Play. And I said we were going to talk about it, so we'll talk about it a little bit. I still haven't finished it. I'm like 60 some odd % through the book at this point. I'm on like page 350 and there's like 500 pages. And I'm so conflicted about this book. Like, I was chatting with the lovely bookseller at a local bookstore near me today and we were talking about it, and because I picked up not me literally getting puzzle pieces all over the place. So I picked up One Dark Window, which I have been looking out for by Rachel Gillig, and this was recommended by like all the people at the bookstore, and I've been wanting to pick it up, and she was telling me that you might want to get the second one because she was dying to read the second one after she read this first one, and I'm trying not to do that because I want to be cognizant of purchasing more books and making sure that I really do like it before I get the second one. But they're not far away, so that should be fine. And so we started talking about fantasy and romantasy, and I was telling her that I'm just having a time when it comes to romantasy. I feel like we are losing the plot sometimes in romantasies, and I felt like specifically with the Games Gods Play, what I'm having an issue with is that we did not take any time in the beginning to really set up this character that we're following, the character of Lyra and Hades, and Lyra's like connections and this curse that she supposedly has. This is all in the very beginning, so we kind of jump right into the action, which I understand. Like, I know we want to hook, we want to get people going, we've promised games, let's give games. I totally get that. But the relationships and Lyra's central conflict with herself and her reason for disliking the gods so much, and her reason for feeling like she can't create connections is this curse. But we really didn't get to see that actually played out. It seemed like she was fairly normal, like in this group of people that she was with. So I don't know. I don't think they really sold that for me. So I've had a hard time with identifying with her character in the way that I understand her struggles and her reluctance to think that anybody wants to have anything to do with her, because there's literally nothing that we saw that would make us think this. And we just kind of skipped to the middle of the book, which is fun. And that's what I was gonna say, is I do like the fun and games aspect of the book. I do enjoy that. But I'm like, if we're playing with these characters and we're trying to pull on the heartstrings and we're trying to create attachments to them, we're not succeeding, because we did not build anything up. And now you're trying to retroactively tell me these things, but you're not showing them to me. We're doing a lot of gymnastics to try to fix the fact that we didn't really put enough setup in the beginning to establish this character and make sure that we really understand her plight and understand her frustrations and understand her view of this world that she's in. We didn't do it. We did not do it. And you could have. I compared the City of Brass to this in the intro. Like, I feel like in the first, let me pull it up. First 15 pages of this book, we're in action. We've had our inciting incident. We were adequately introduced to the main character and her plight, her world. I felt like I knew her day to day. I felt like the conversations made sense, and then she was having conversations with people that really told me about her life. And then we had our inciting incident before page 20 in this book. And it all flowed well, and the relationship and build-up in this book made sense. Hello. It is December 5th. It is the last day of this challenge. And, well. How can I describe to you the stress that I'm feeling right now? So I currently still have 4 books to finish out of the 15. We did finish the Games Gods play, and it's got the lowest rating from all of the books I've read thus far. I'm tired, y'all. I am tired of romantasy. I don't want to see her for a long time. If you call it a romantasy, I don't want her. I got to the end. I'm like reading it. And you know how we talked about like, oh, maybe perhaps like just a thought, but perhaps we should have established some things prior to starting the story, which might have made things better, right? So we had that. Well, yeah, so we did that. We did the thing here, and we did not establish those things. And then we proceeded to tell me, the reader, that I should be feeling these things and understanding these things. And most specifically, mild spoilers here. Just if you want to skip, I am gonna like, you know, break up different books so you can skip it if you still want to read this book. But how are you gonna tell me this girl's curse is to be unlovable, but then her entire arc here proves that people care about her? Like, she makes a bunch of friends, like all this kind of stuff. Wow, my skin is looking like a little sallow here. Maybe if I turn the light on, it won't look so bad. That looks better. I felt like I was looking a little crazy. I am gonna change in a second, but yeah, and then they're like, oh, the curse is broken at the end and I can be loved. But girl, you were already loved. Like, it wasn't the kind of romantic love that you thought you were gonna have with certain people, but like, you were already like liked and people were falling behind you and taking your lead. Like, I'm sorry. None of it. And then at the end, we did the whole like, okay, big spoilers here. Big spoilers. If you intend on reading the Games God play, I'm gonna mark this like spoiler section because I just need to rant a little bit to somebody and I don't have anybody to rant to. So spoiler section here, please skip ahead to the end of this if you don't want to be spoiled for the Games God's play. So they basically did the exact same ending that happened in the first ACOTAR. If you've seen it, you know. If you've read ACOTAR, you know. And just like the entire way the ending played out, I was like, none of this is earned. And I'm like, any of this is earned. I'm so irritated. I'm so irritated with the main character being like, oh, obviously this is why he was doing X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. He really loves, I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Enough. I've had enough. I am seriously, at this point in time, feel bad that A, I stopped reading A Dark and Drowning Tide because I think that was a better written book overall, even though I'm not enjoying it, but like, it's harder to get through than this one. Very easily like digestible type of writing, but oh my goodness, I want to scream. So I think for next year, I think I'm going to have a romantasy ban because every single book that has been touted as quote unquote romantasy, I have not liked. Or like thought it was okay. Like the first ACOTAR, I thought it was fine. I was like, okay, cool. Second one, I was like, okay, it's not for me. But like didn't like hate it. Same thing with the Fourth Wing. I was like, oh, this was a fun time. Cool. Didn't hate it. Didn't like see it for the girls. But every other romantasy that I've read this year, I've been like, oh, I hate it. I cannot. The tropes are troping in a terrible, terrible way. And then we're just throwing fantasy things and nothing's earned and I don't want it anymore. So I'm just gonna put that out there. Like, I am angry. This book made me so angry because I was actually really excited for this idea. I thought it sounded fun and I just hated it. By the end, I was just like, hate reading it. I was so mad. So that is that. But yeah, I have 4 books to finish. We will see. Honestly, this video is coming out on the, like, honestly, like, if I don't finish all 4, I'm going to normalize that that's okay. Because it was an endeavor. But realistically here, I have 1 audiobook here. I have I'm starting to worry about The Black Box of Doom, which has been a very interesting audiobook thus far. I'm actually quite enjoying reading the audiobook. I think it's a pretty enjoyable experience. It really goes with like the kind of manic, strange tale that's going on in here, so I'm having a good time. I'm about like 30% of the way through the audiobook. I'm like 55% of the way through the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and I'm like 50% of the way through For She Is Wrath. I probably get through 3 of these easily today. Where I think we may have some trouble here is I am just like 10% into The Lion Women of Tehran, and I'm really enjoying that book, and I don't know if I want to rush it. So it's not like, it's very readable, I will say, for like kind of a historical like a historical fiction novel. I am enjoying it a lot, so I find it very readable. So maybe I will finish it, I don't know, but I'm gonna say that one for last because I don't want to rush it, and if I feel like I'm not gonna be able to finish it for this video, in time to look over the Goodreads awards. I have not looked on anything. I haven't seen what is won. We'll just kind of accept defeat, accept that we did not finish this exactly how we were looking for, and that is okay. We will normalize that. But I definitely think we can get through. I'm starting to worry about the Black Box of Death. I've only got like 5 hours left of that, so we can definitely finish that today. Got plenty of time. And then, yeah, I definitely think we can get through the 2 books that I'm 50% of the way through before the end of today. Hello. This is I've been working on a puzzle and listening to an audiobook for hours. Don't move. Say hi, pumpkin. But that's this look that we have going on here. So you can see what we're looking at. I feel like I'm about 50%. Because it's 1,000. I feel like this is like 500 and this is like 500, possibly. Maybe less. Maybe I'm like, I don't know. But it's starting to come together. This is what it should look like. And I just feel determined. But we have just finished. I'm starting to worry about what's in the Black Box of Doom on audiobook, and I had a really fun time. I think I'm gonna give it about 4 stars. It was very I don't know, it was interesting. I think, like, if you're gonna read it, like I said, if you intend on reading it, here, pumpkin, you hold the camera. You hold it. You hold it. If you intend on reading it, I would definitely suggest the audiobook. I think it really lends to like some of the absurdities that these characters are participating in. Pumpkin did not like that the camera was there. So I would suggest that. But yeah, the essential premise is this guy, Abbott, is a Lyft driver, and he goes to pick up somebody who we find out her name a little later. By the name of, oh my god, what is her name? She has okay, hold on. Ether. Goodness. By the name of Ether, and Ether essentially offers him a bunch of money to help her take this black box to Washington, D.C., and then they're in L.A. So it offers him like $200,000 essentially to do it. And he is like a small Twitch streamer, and essentially one of his followers sees his last post basically being like, hey friends, I'm not going to be on for a little while, feeling kind of awkward, giving him a little concern, and he turns to Reddit, and essentially this story blows up and everybody's got like a different opinion of what's going on with this black box, and it becomes like this crazy adventure. It's considered sci-fi, which I think is interesting because I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess, but then like, I don't know. I don't know if I would have considered this sci-fi. I feel like it's not really like, there wasn't, I don't know. I don't know if I consider it sci-fi, but I had a good time. I had a lot of fun. I give it 4 stars. Definitely check it out if you're interested. It is a very silly book. There's a lot of social commentary and just like the absurdity of the internet and all the different voices on it, so it's really fun. But I'm still working on this puzzle, so I think I'm gonna grab the audiobook of the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore and go ahead and wrap that one up because I only have like an hour and a half left of it. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that and see if I can make heads or tails of this puzzle, as I've been trying to do for hours. Literally been trying to do this for freaking hours. I'm looking like a hot mess. Hello. So it is December 6th. It's Friday, December 6th? Yeah, it was Friday, December 6th. We completed 2 books yesterday. We talked about, I'm starting to worry about the Black Box of Doom.
And I also completed the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. So that was 13 books of our 15 in the TBR. So we still have 2 left, which is fine. So I am like 250 pages into For She Is Wrath, which I thought I would finish last night, but I was actually just super tired. So I read about 100 pages and then was like, okay, we gotta call it. And I am enjoying it. I do like it. I like the elements of magic in this world, taking like Pakistani culture and lore and blending it with the Count of Monte Cristo. I think it's a really interesting idea. I'm curious as to where it's going to go in the end. How it's going to work. We're seeing some things happening, so I'm curious about it. But I'm enjoying it. I feel like it's a fairly easy read, and I do like the relationship between our 2 main characters, Danny and Noor. Like their friendship. But I put it down. I needed to sleep. So we'll probably finish that tonight or tomorrow. And then I did grab, so I had my 2 credits on Libro FM, so I did listen to the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore and finished it. I give it 3 stars like I did the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and I just enjoyed it. It was a good time. Like, I enjoyed it. I had fun. It was spicier than the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Just letting you know. I think there was a lot more smut scenes in this one. It was a lot more spice in this one. A lot more spicy scenes going on between our 2 main characters, Hazel and Noah. So this is following Hazel and Noah. We kind of got introduced to them. We got introduced to them in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Hazel runs the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and then Noah runs like a fishing thing, like expedition thing off the coast. And he is like a rake, and she's, you know, the sweet girl next door kind of situation. And she's trying to do some things outside of her comfort zone before she turns 30. And I will say, I do love a reformed rake story. I do enjoy that. I like a funny guy in stories, changes things up. I thought it was sweet. I know a lot of people like the Pumpkin Spice Cafe better than this one. I'm pretty even on them. I don't think I like either more. I think they're both quick reads, enjoyable reads, like solid 3 stars. Like, I have a good time. I don't own them physically. I do think I'll pick up the next one and read it in December as a nice Christmas read, which is like the Christmas Tree Farm, which is going to follow Bennett, who they've been like sprinkling in, who is Jeannie's brother, who is the main female character in the first book in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. He's going to come for Thanksgiving, and he's going to meet this grumpy woman who bought this old tree farm land, and they're going to fall in love. And that's that. So yeah, 3 stars. It is what I thought it was going to be. Like I said, I enjoy them. I don't think they are revolutionary. Like, I don't think that they are the same quality of story as like an Emily Henry or an Abby Jimenez, but I think they're fun, quick reads and a good time. Just like a nice, solid time. And then I did pick up the audiobook on Libro FM as well of The Lying Women of Tehran. So I am like probably like 50% of the way through the book now. I'm still really enjoying it. You know, the book follows 2 friends, and we know from the beginning that they fell out of touch and something happened, but I'm not quite sure what happened yet. So I'm curious to see where they fall off. We're also following them in this period in Iran as they were like changing regimes. So we had the change from their democratically elected officials to when the Shah took over in the 1960s. And I am assuming we will also get to the Iranian Revolution in the 70s, where their current government system is comes from and takes over. So I'm assuming we'll go through all those stages in this book. So we talk about time frames. So I am very curious to see why these two stopped chatting, stopped being BFFs. So I am curious about that. I'm really liking this book a lot. I think it's very readable, and that's where we're at. So 2 more books left. Hello. Oh, let me clean you up. Better? Kind of. Oh my goodness. Hello, welcome back to some more car chats with me. It is Saturday, December 7th, and I have finished For She Is Wrath by Emily Varga, and I gave it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It is, I think we talked about it a little bit, Pakistani, Count of Monte Cristo story. I was glad that it turned out the way that it did. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen The Count of Monte Cristo, and The Count of Monte Cristo is on my list of classics to read because one of my good friend Michelle, who, hello, I don't know if she's watching, but like one of my good friends Michelle, that's like one of her favorite books, or was one of her favorite classics back in the day, and I've always meant to read it. I love the movies, but I do want to read The Count of Monte Cristo. Anyway, so I love the revenge story. I love the kind of juxtaposition of taking like a young woman who is very capable and who like stripping her down, making her confront the rage and wrath that she has from the situations that she's been put in, and her ability to make changes with that, and then also being able to identify that concept that joy is also a form of revenge. So I was glad that we kind of went through this whole journey. I think the book was great. I'm glad I bought it. I really enjoyed it. I think you should read it. I think it read pretty, it kind of crossed the lines. Like, it was said to be young adult, but just like Where Sleeping Girls Lie, I didn't feel the young adult vibes of it, which I think is inherently the problem I have with young adult, is the prose, the style of writing, kind of the tropes that now go along with young adult are not for me. But I don't mind having younger characters. I don't mind being in a school setting. I don't mind having people who are in their late teens, early 20s being the main character. That is not an issue for me. It's more the way the story is told, the way the story is written, the character development. And that is fine. And I sometimes I do wonder, is like, I don't know if I would have classified this as young adult, but at the same time, I can see the value of putting it in front of teen readers because it's a good read, and the book talks about themes that are prominent in something like The Count of Monte Cristo, but making it more digestible, more interesting, in a lot of ways, introducing them culturally to Pakistani lore and just those kind of things. So we have one book left to finish before this vlog. That is The Lion Women of Tehran. I do have some plans today that I may or may not do. We'll see. And I do want to start editing this video because it's going to be a hefty one and we need to get it out. But yeah, we're doing well. And as I said, like, it's fine that we aren't completely done. But if I feel like if I finish The Lion Women of Tehran before today, like before the end of today, then I have succeeded in my goal, because it is done before the video and I've read all 15, and we can look at the Goodreads awards and see who won each category, and maybe I can comment on some of them, maybe I can't, but that's fine.
We've done it, folks. We've done it. This is all the physical books that we have from the TBR. But, oh, there was more. I didn't even have them all. I forgot Greta and Valdin. But we have finished the final book in my Goodreads Award TBR, The Lion Women of Tehran. So I did probably like 60-40 audiobook and reading with my eyeballs. I didn't do them at the same time. And I will give this book, I think, a 4. I don't know why. Sometimes you just think these things, but this very much reminded me, like, stylistically of, oh, what is the name of that book? It's a book about a Palestinian family, like a generational family that I read earlier this year. Salt Houses? Is it Salt Houses? Yes, Salt Houses, by Hala Alia. This, not the story necessarily, but like the style of writing, with the narrators kind of going through different points in time in history and following this family, and just the trials and tribulations of them, but more with 2 best friends. It's interesting because this book, primarily, we are in the headspace of Ellie, one of our main characters, but when she leaves Iran, which you find out in the very beginning anyway, when she leaves Iran and ends up moving to the US with her husband as he's doing his like postdoctoral research in a school in New York, we actually finally get the perspective of her best friend in this book, Homa, and a little bit more about her life. And I think it's primarily because she wanted to stay focused for the majority of this book on the movements in Iran. Now, she does say in her acknowledgments that she's not a historian, and so whether, like, how much of this is like super historically accurate, I can't say, but I did really enjoy the conversations that we had in here. I think it was very interesting that this idea of the lion women is like, you know, strong women who have drive and different things like that. And I really thought it was very interesting how Ellie, as our character, was a very different type of woman from her friend Hama. And I thought that I really enjoyed that she did that, because I always feel like when we have these conversations about how women can be independent, how we can be free, like how we live our lives, what it means to be free, that oftentimes in novels we only have our women who are on the front lines, who are, you know, fighters in a very literal sense, or, you know, for Hama, we see that she is a lot more like politically active and just has that drive to do that. But that there are other ways, and we have to like leave space for women living their lives whichever ways they choose, and how that in and of itself is like being able to live your life, finally letting go of some of that judgment, whether it be from society, from your family, from your own insecurities, and being able to live the life that you want. And the way that you want is its own form of freedom, and it doesn't necessarily have to look like fighting against injustices or things like that, that there are other ways for women to be portrayed in these kinds of stories and still be lion women. That's it. We've read 15 books, and the Goodreads awards have been awarded. So I thought we would do 2 final things here before we wrap up what is sure to be a long vlog. The first one is I have not looked at the award winners on Goodreads, so I thought we would do that. And then I thought I would rank the books that I chose from my favorite book of the Goodreads awards to my least favorite, just for a little fun here. And then we'll be done. All right. I have my water. Let's go to Goodreads. Okay. I did try to vote for any of the books that I did read. So let's see who won. So let's start with fiction. For fiction, the winner was The Wedding People by Alison Espach, and that had 94,733 votes. Gabby did speak about this and she did like this book. So I don't know, maybe I'll pick it up. Maybe. I read for the fiction category, Welcome to the Hyunam Bookshop. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Next is historical fiction. This one, not a surprise. That was won by Kristen Hanna. The winner was The Women by Kristen Hanna with 253,147 votes. That's insane. The girls stand. I mean, like, well surpassed any of these other books. Like, y'all really like this book. The mystery and thrillers. Okay, the winner, again, not surprised about this either because I did hear that The God of the Woods by Liz Moore was like a really popular mystery and thriller, and I do think I want to read this. Actually, I'm going to add it to want to read right now. So I do think I want to read it, and I chose for this one, no, what was the one I chose for this one? Oh, that's right. I'm getting horror, mystery, and thrillers. So for this one we chose We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. Romance. Funny Story by Emily Henry with 179,349 votes. The girl did her best. I really loved Funny Story. I mean, I thought either Funny Story by Emily Henry or Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez was going to win in this category anyway. And I'm not surprised by this. And honestly, I think if either one of them had won, I was going to be fine with it. I really loved Just for the Summer. It was way more intense than I thought it was going to be, but I really liked that about it. But Funny Story was just like a good time, so I could see why people had a lot of fun with them. We also, for this category, we actually read this in Bookstore, which I gave 3 stars. It was in the top 10, along with my choice of The Paradise Problem, which I also thoroughly enjoyed and gave 5 stars. So I'm pretty happy with this overall, and I'm actually quite shocked that I've read so many in this category now that I think about it. By this point, I've read The Paradise Problem, The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, Bride, Just for the Summer, and Funny Story. So I've read 5 out of these, which is pretty crazy because I'm not a big romance reader, so go figure. Romantasy. We've already talked about this ad nauseum, and I'm not going to go down this road anymore, but the genre that just keeps on giving. So, to no surprise, House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas won with 122,895 votes. Am I surprised? Obviously not. She is like the queen of romantasy. And this is like the 3rd in this series anyways, so I'm not super surprised. Surprised that Apprentice to the Villain was in 2nd place. And then Quicksilver, which I've seen people post about. I don't know. It looks like, so originally I had chose A Dark and Drowning Tide for by Alison Shaft, and I DNF'd that. And that one only had like a little over 7,000 votes. And then the book I actually read for Romantasy, The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owens, only got about a little over 6,000 votes. So the girls weren't having them either. We can just move on. I won't be putting The Crescent City or any Romantasy on my TBR for some time. Let's talk about fantasy. Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune won with 69,854 votes, followed up by The Familiar, and then my personal choice was Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. But I am happy to see that The Fox Wife was in the top 10 with 21,000 votes, and I loved this book. I really had a great time with this. It was right up my alley. Science fiction. I'm kind of shocked that The Ministry of Time won. So the winner is The Ministry of Time by Callie and Bradley, and I am actually quite shocked because most people who I've seen on BookTube who read this did not enjoy it, but it did win with 78,459 votes, and that is like a big jump from the next one, which was the Family Experiment, which I've never heard of, and then Annie Bot, which I've heard a lot of people quite enjoyed. The book that we chose for this was This Black Box of Doom by, I'm starting to worry about This Black Box of Doom by Jason Pargin. It only got 4,357 votes, which I think is sad because it was a really fun book. And I think if you are not a sci-fi fan, you could read this book and enjoy it because it's not too sci-fi-y, in my opinion. I don't have much else to say about it. I don't read a lot of sci-fi, like stuff that's considered like in the sci-fi genre, but I am surprised at this one. It must be because it was like a book of the month book, so a lot of people have read it, because I have not heard like great things about it personally. Let's go to horror. Okay. Also not shocked by this one. The winner for horror is You Like It Darker by Stephen King, which I don't even know. I didn't even realize he came out with the book this year. But that won with 60,901 votes. And really like almost like 15,000 votes more than We Used to Live Here, which was number 2. But I see you, Chuck Tingle. Bury Your Gaze is in the top 5 with over 20,000 votes. And I had a really good time with this. I was chatting with a bookseller about this book and just saying how I had a little of a hard time getting into it in the beginning, but I overall had a fun time, and I'm glad to see that other people did too. Debut novels. How to End a Love Story by Yuling Kwang. I'm actually surprised about this too because every person I've seen on BookTube who's read this book did not like it. But it won with 63,605 votes, followed by The Ministry of Time. Wow, people are really standing that book. And then I see that Greta and Valdin did not. It did make the top. It just snagged the 10th spot. Yeah. I am also surprised. I didn't really have like a strong indication what it would be. But just, again, this is another book that I've not heard great things about, so I'm kind of curious. Oh well. Audiobook. Oh, okay. Audiobook. Emily Henry is snagging it up. Is Funny Story by Emily Henry. And that one with 72,571 votes. Followed by The Women by Kristen Hanna. And then the one that I read for this category, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I am not surprised. I don't know. Like, I really enjoyed that audiobook. I don't know what, like, is it just because people liked this book or that they thought it was, like, the best of the audiobooks? I feel like it's kind of hard to judge. So, interesting. Young adult fantasy. Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. Also not surprised by this. I know this was popular with all the girls. One with 93,230 votes. For this category, we chose For She Is Wrath by Emily Varga. I'm really sad to see that this book only has 2,404 votes. I hope more people go read this book. Please go read it. I thought it was a very well written fantasy in general, not just young adult, and I think that it is worth getting it more people to read it. So please go read it. Please go read it. Young adult fiction. Heartstopper Volume 5 by Alice Osman with 81,335 votes. It's interesting that this is in young adult fiction. Because, like, is it actually a novel or is it a graphic novel? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. But I feel like it's like a different reading, and so to like compare it with a bunch of novels and then like a very, very popular graphic novel, I kind of feel like it was set to win over everybody else, in my personal opinion. Because I know people really like the graphic novels of Heartstopper, but I feel like perhaps having it in a section with a graphic novel would have given some of these books a little bit more of a chance. But we read Where Sleeping Girls Lie for this category. I see she's in the top 10. I thoroughly enjoyed this young adult book as well, so I do not feel sad that that was the one that I went with, because I had a very good time, and it was suspenseful and well written, and I will definitely be picking up any books that this author writes. Nonfiction. The Anxious Generation, How the Great Rewiring of Childhood Caused an Epidemic of Mental Illness by Jonathan Haddett. 39,553 votes. Okay. I'm not shocked because I feel like the majority of people who are voting in these are probably squared in like millennial and Gen Z. So not shocked by this. I actually chose Meditations for Mortals, which was the bottom tier voted for, which honestly I'm not mad at. Like, it was a fine book, but I chose it basically because I was like, I'm going to be reading so much and my brain doesn't want to hurt. It was fine, it was good, but like, I'm not mad at it. Memoir. Also not surprised by this either. The Third Gilmore Girl, a memoir by Kelly Bishop with 80,050 votes. It looks like most of the memoirs that got voted for were definitely more celebrities. The memoir that I read was Knife, which made it into the top 8, which is awesome. But I am not surprised that she won, because I know the girls were super excited for this, and I know how y'all feel about Gilmore Girls. Last one, the only book that I read for this video that actually won a category, The Bookshop, A History of the American Bookstore, with 38,847 votes. And I am not surprised, because it's kind of a love story to book lovers and bookstores. So it makes sense that it would win out over the rest of these. And it was a great little time. I am happy I have this book. I'm happy I listened to the audiobook as well. And again, I picked one. But okay, awesome. Yay. So, now that we have looked through all of these, let's go ahead and wrap this video up with a quick ranking of my 15 books that I read from each category for the Goodreads Awards, and then say goodbye from what I am sure this is going to be a quite long video. I'm gonna wrap this up here because I'm excited to jump into some chill Christmassy books for the rest of this season and just have some cozy vlogs and do some wrap-ups for this year. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment if one of your books made the list, or if there was something that you really enjoyed reading from the Goodreads Awards. And if you feel like sticking around for more Bookish and Nerdist content, feel free to subscribe. I upload every Wednesdays and most Sundays. Until next time, I hope you read a good book. I hope you find some joy, and most importantly, I hope you do something to make the world a better place. And I will see you in my next one. Bye!